All of you have been watching the markets. You've been seeing what's going on out there. And you're probably asking yourself, like most, is this the buying opportunity I've been waiting for? I've been getting messages and texts saying, is this the bottom? Is there enough blood in the streets? Should we buy? You see that Warren Buffett just went on and bought 40 billion worth of stocks. Is this the sign that is the time to buy? Well, let's really look at this. But to look at this, we actually have to look at previous events. We have to look at previous recessionary periods or just before the recession. So if we did that, if we go back in time and we look at the roaring 20s, we'll call it 1926 to 1929, just to condense some time. And we look at 1929. It was the end of the roaring 20s. It was a bull market like you'd never seen. Everything was going to the moon. The little stock tickers were coming out. Everybody was rich. Everybody was making money. Everybody was buying stocks. Hell, the shoe shine boy knew more about what stocks to buy than Kennedy Sr. It was the awesome times. Everybody was doing well. Wall Street was roaring. Everybody had money. Credit had just started coming into things. So people were trading on margin, not even their own money, just backed by the collateral called the stock certificates. And the market started to pull back. So we had a couple of big drops in 1929, and all of a sudden everybody was like, this is the buying opportunity. They bought deeper. Even wealthy individuals, bankers, bought on the way down. They bought large chunks trying to prop the markets up because they could certainly manipulate the markets. And that would bring it up. And everybody say, oh yeah, it's going to the moon. The best stock pickers were saying it was going to the moon. Until all of a sudden it let loose. It let loose, and the rest is history. From 1929 to 1933, you saw what we now know of as the Great Depression. Do I need to say more? Everybody thought there was a buying opportunity on those first initial dips, but that was just the precursor. Same thing, dot-com crash. You saw lots of weaknesses in the markets, and we could go through every recessionary period through time. It's always the same. The markets are roaring. Everybody's making money. Everybody's rich. Credit's easy. Everything is good until it dips. Fear sets in. Some of the people sell out. They're like, I've had it. I'm done. People like me are just, I'm done. I'm not taking the risk. The risk doesn't equal the reward or justify the reward. So people like myself get out and other people are buying, because in order to make money in the market, there's always somebody selling and always somebody buying, or there's always somebody losing and there's always somebody making money. It's just the way that the capital markets work. .com, 2008. Same thing. But 2008 was a bit different because that sucker just let loose and it just continued to crash and burn. But there was weakness. And the smart ones in the market saw those weaknesses. You've all seen the movie The Big Short. They saw the weaknesses. They saw the signs. They took action and they all became billionaires, didn't they? But how about you? What were you doing? You saw a buying opportunity. Your advisors, which I was at that time. I was at the peak of my financial advisory career, right when 2008's Great Recession kicked off. What were we doing right before that? What were we being advised to do? Buy the dip, keep buying, buy low, dollar cost average in, until the Great Recession hit. Fast forward to where we're at today. We are right now sitting at May 24th, 2022. We are approaching the 9th straight week of a fall in the market. We haven't hit bear market territory, but we're damn close. And you've got the news saying, is this the buying opportunity? Warren Buffett's buying, so you should buy too. I want you to paint a picture in your head of a boat, a big ark. Okay, you've all heard of the story of the ark. And what's happening right now is the markets are going down. The media is saying, this is the buying opportunity. This is the buying opportunity. Get it while it's low. Blood in the streets. Everybody load on the boat. Everybody get on the boat. Come on, get on. Everybody on the boat. This is your last chance. It's going to go up and you're going to make a ton of money. Get on the boat. While big money is getting off the boat on the other side. While all of you and the other sheeples are jumping on the boat, Everybody else, the lions, are getting off. The ones that have the knowledge, that have the experience, are all exiting the boat while everybody else is blindly getting on the boat, just following the person in front of them, the Uber driver, the Lyft driver, the coworker, the friend, the family that all said, now is the time to move in. It's the time to buy. You're going to make so much money. Then when everybody's on the boat, they sink it. Folks, I'm just going to tell you point blank. If you think the buying opportunity has started and you are not a professional investor, if you're a professional investor and you're trading short-term trades, giddy up and go. Volatility is your friend. This is where you make all your money. But the average person, the majority of the people listening to this episode, this time right now is a trap. What you're seeing, what you're witnessing is smoke and mirrors. If you're buying in, you're making one of the biggest mistakes of your life, because eventually they're going to sink the boat. The boat's going down. The Fed already told you what they're going to do. The Fed actions will drive the market and the economy straight down. How far? Well, how fast did we come up? Go to the pandemic. How fast did we go from that point to where we're at today, which is an all-time record high, and the line is almost straight up. They call it a hockey stick. That happened in about a year and a half. Market's been a straight line up. So if we fall and we go down to where we were during the pandemic, which is a very weak floor, chances are we're going to hit that floor, we're going to bounce, and it's going to go continually down to what levels? I think we'll stop at 2011 levels. So if we were to fall from where we're at today, which is already what people think is the low point, already what people think is a time to buy, there's blood in the streets, which there is not. The blood in the streets right now is the equivalent of this. I want you to picture this. You grab a needle, you prick the end of your finger, you give it a good squeeze. You got that little ball of blood on the end. I know some of you don't like blood. You rub that on the floor. That's the blood in the streets right now. It's an illusion. It's all made up in your mind. There is no blood. There is still greed. Everybody still thinks this thing's going to go up, except for the big guys, the big dogs, not the Warren Buffetts, because he's playing a different game than you are. He can play the long game. He can buy today and wait that thing out 10, 20 years if he wants. You can't. You might think that the money is in the long haul, but you won't make it there. You need to really assess this period of time and decide, are you willing to lose 20%? Can you handle 20%? Oh yeah, Chris, that's no problem. I can handle 20%. Okay. Can you handle 30% drop? Well, I don't know. I think we'd be okay. 40%, 50, 60, 70, 80%. Can you handle that? Well, no, you can't. Because there's a little thing that most people should know, but nobody seems to talk about, called investor sentiment. Some people call it volatility index. Some people call it fear. We'll just call it investor sentiment. You won't make the long haul. Not this time. You might think you can, but now let's throw some headwinds into your mix. Let's just say you lose your job. Can you wait? Can you afford to maintain your style, your level of living that you are today without your job? If the answer is no, can you handle the risk? Are you going to need that money? Are you going to need to go into those investments, that 401k, that brokerage account, that crypto account? Can you leave that money sit for the next 5 or 10 years if you lose your job? Bet you can. What if your spouse loses his or her job? What if all of a sudden outside pressures happen and now all of a sudden you've got other things to deal with? Because if you can't afford the bills, you can't afford your mortgage or your rent, what are you going to do? You're going to sell your stocks. You're going to sell those mutual funds. You're going to sell those ETFs. You're going to sell that crypto that you've been buying, waiting for it to go to the moon. And when you do, where did you sell? Probably pretty close to the bottom, because that's usually what happens. Everybody thinks they can hold out until they can't, because they forgot about all those unforeseen things that come along with the recession, let alone a depression. But I see this as being the next Great Depression, because they've kicked the can so long, created the longest bull run in history. And the Fed actions and all the things I'm seeing all point to one place, and that is in time going to be the next Great Depression. Now, you don't need to believe me on that. What you need to do is really need to look at yourself in the mirror, and you need to ask yourself, can you handle the heat in the kitchen? Is it too hot? Because right now, if you're getting panicky and nervous, this is nothing. This is the precursor. We haven't even got to the main attraction. Hell, you're not even at the second commercial at the movie theater. Hell, you haven't even heard about the popcorn yet. These are just the ones when the first timers come in, the newbies, the ones that get there a little bit early thinking the theater's going to be filled. AMC loves you guys sitting there. You got your popcorn, but you haven't even seen the commercial for the butter that goes on the popcorn. You're like, oh, wow, I wish I would have saw that before I got this popcorn. That looks good. You get the drift. The main attraction hasn't even happened. The first leg hasn't even happened. You might be seeing the starts of it, but there's no blood in the streets. There's no buying opportunities if you're not a professional investor. This is a trap. They want you on the boat before they sink it, because that's how capitalism works. One person has to lose for another person to gain. One person has to sell for another person to buy. Wake up. Wake up. Because what you're looking at is decisions that will have unbelievable effects, not just for the next year, but for the next decade, maybe for the rest of your life. Are you ready? Folks, now is the time to really prepare. It is the time to get ready. It is the time to look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I going to be ready for the storm? Am I going to be ready to take advantage of what could be the biggest opportunity of your life, or could also be devastation to your financial future? This is the time where you got to ask those hard questions. This is the time where you got to start looking at, how do I prepare?